Friday. Still to come, we're finding out about Apple's level of interest in the TV business.
Because money matters. This is the WBBM Noon Business Hour.
WBBM News Time, 12:50. Time Warner may be merging with a technology company. No, this is not a repeat from the year 2000 when Time Warner merged with AOL, but there is some talk that Apple is kicking the tires on Time Warner, which would join Apple TV with the parent company of a number of television content providers. We're joined now by Tim Hanlon, who is the managing director of FTI Consulting in Chicago. Tim, welcome to WBBM, and I guess the first question is, if the Apple-Time Warner merger were to go through, is this the end of TV as we know it, the beginning of a new era of television distribution?
Hi, Rob. I think you've described it with great hyperbole, and I think that's what this story or potential discussion is really about. I think we're not really going to see a merger of, one of the biggest consumer electronics and pioneers of our age in Apple with a major content provider in Time Warner. But I do think it brings up some really interesting issues in that everybody's talking to everybody. The world of media and television and content is fast-changing. The technological advances that are making strange bedfellows, shall we say. What it really, I think, speaks to is, and I wasn't in the room, neither were you, right? We don't know what was really discussed, but the reality is that content matters, and a company like Apple, which is really good at the electronics part of stuff with their Apple TV thing, can certainly benefit by having more, shall we say, exclusive access to quality content, and that's obviously what appeals to them with Time Warner, and perhaps vice versa via Time Warner.
Apparently, there were some talks, but of course, nothing has happened. What do you envision in the next few years in terms of how the industry might shift and how and partner?
Yeah, I think the story, to the extent it's a story, right, is indicative of, like I said before, the importance of content. And there's a term inside the television industry called that's all the rage right now called stacking rights, and literally that means that networks and program creators and studios are getting much more interested in owning more of the entire life cycle of a piece of content versus perhaps syndicating it or selling it or reselling it. This is why you see people like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and CBS All Access with Star Trek new episodes. These are exclusive shows that they're bankrolling that are only available on those platforms, and it's a sticky way to get people to be on those platforms and, frankly, consider them to be valuable enough to subscribe to them without maybe sort of selling them to another entity that might denigrate the value of the brand. Netflix, clearly bought up a lot of rights to lots of TV programs that the networks now are kind of ruefully regretting in that all the brand association of their networks don't come along for the ride.
Tim, that's a good explanation. Thank you so much for joining us for a few minutes. Tim Hanlon, Managing Director, FTI Consulting in Chicago.